You know, you shouldn't play politics with something like this. This is hurting us. We heard already, and it's a shame. It's a shame.
Thomas Pickford lost his son Christopher on September 11th. Christopher and 114 other Brooklyn firefighters perished on that horrible day. All of them drove across the Brooklyn Bridge in an effort to save lives. Today, a memorial honoring those heroes is collecting dust on the floor of a Long Island monument company because of what some are calling red tape.
Because they can't lay here. This is terrible. Yeah, we need this for our healing. You know, my family can go and see this. There's honor. I don't have to go to Colorado. I don't have to go to Washington.
Able to get out.
Creation of the monument began in November of 2001. Saul Moglen raised more than $140,000 in private funds to pay for it.
We would like to put it up November 3rd before the winter starts. We would like to see the families come and spend Christmas at the wall. They can have Sunday morning services at the wall. It's their wall. It's for them.
The wall has an etched picture of every firefighter killed on September 11th. In the middle is a sculpture of two firefighters who made it out. One is crying and carrying the helmet of a lost brother.
We'll work with Mr. Moglen. We'll take it to the Art Commission, and we'll see what we can do to get it put up.
Quick?
As quick as we can.
And there has been much debate about the memorial being created at the World Trade Center site, but in Coney Island, there's already a touching tribute to the first responders who died that day.
Well, to the first responders on 9/11. So many people are still waiting to see one in Lower Manhattan, but there's already one in Brooklyn honoring the fallen.
Let's not forget who they were. They were heroes.
This is still a place to enjoy yourself, to come see your loved ones, and to remember the good times, not just the fact that they died, to remember the fact that they lived.
The fact that after all these years there are still people who don't have a place to go, that is very upsetting.
It just brings back the memories, you know? It's just not the nameplate, and here it is. And it's also the guys who died with their company.
These are men that went across a bridge one morning, never to come home. And some of their children that were born after the fact never got to meet them, and they could go to the wall and see what a true hero their father or their uncle or their brother was.
There's people who their remains were never found, and it maybe just gives people to see the faces of the firefighters who went in. It gives people pause to thought. You know, they can look at faces and see these were working stiffs going in, doing their job, and you know, it makes them human. They're not a name. They're people.
They're members of our family, and although I may not know everyone that is on this wall, I feel, and all Brooklynites feel, that they are indeed members of our family. Why this wall is important? It's important for the families to be able to come here every now and then to show their children, and I know their children will be able to be here as well in remembrance of these outstanding heroes.
And this is really the first of the permanent memorials. This is the first one to actually pay tribute in a permanent way to the specific individuals, because people came out and they planted daffodils to reaffirm life. And we've planted the first memorial grove is here in Brooklyn in Sunset Park. So there are many ways that people wanted to contribute, but Saul Moglen was the first one who said, I want to do something very specific and very personal.
The love these families have given to the people of Brooklyn and the people of New York City is exemplified by their sacrifice. There's no higher form of love than what the men pictured here gave to all of us, and now these families give to all of us.
They did something for our whole country that's going to be very much a part of our history. The terrorists wanted to accomplish two things. They wanted to kill large numbers of us, and then they wanted to break our spirit. And they accomplished killing large numbers of us. And for that, they should be brought to justice. But they failed to break our spirit unless we let them do that. And these men made that possible by the way they acted. They began the fight back in a very, very brave way, and now it's our job to carry it on. And thank you very much for memorializing it. I particularly thank you for doing it at this ballpark, which for me personally means a great deal, and for the people of Brooklyn. And I know it's going to mean something to young people in the future when they come here and look at this wall, and the heroism that lies behind it will be described to them, and it'll develop them as people and as Americans.
This project is what we believed in, and this project we believe will go forward. And what I mean by will go forward, I have received numerous phone calls, I would say at least 500 to 1,000 phone calls from those families of those firefighters that live in Brooklyn that died in the World Trade Center and that are not honored here today. And I told those families that I will fight for them. I will raise the money and help and work with everyone involved to see that we could expand this project to go along the walls of all those firefighters, okay? And that's where we must not forget those firefighters.
Frank Palumbo had 10 kids. They never found Frank's body. We've had all 10 kids come to our events. And to have a family of 10 kids to know that they can go see their dad on the wall is very touching and moving.
That's my boy, John Vigiano. Sunshine, that's what we used to call him.
Retired Captain John Vigiano lost the only kids he had in the world, both sons. John, a firefighter, and Joe, a police officer.
The name is just numbers, you know, letters. You can get that any place. You can pick up a telephone book. But here, you see him. I see my sons.
It's a pleasure. It's very gratifying, especially when you see other people come whose son or husband was not on the wall before, and now they're on the wall. They're actually on the wall where people can see them.
When they first did the wall, we loved the thought of seeing a face. It's so much nicer than seeing a name. I can bring my granddaughter here and say, this is your uncle, and she can actually see his face. It's beautiful.
I'd rather see him on the wall than downtown, where I won't even know where his name is. They're going to have an empty pool. That's not a reflection of my son. This is my son.
We'll always celebrate his life, and to have his face where years from now people can come here and say, oh, there's Bobby Lane. Wonderful. It's his face. We know what he looked like. Makes me very happy. Just to keep him alive. To me, that's keeping him alive. People will not forget him.
Every Palm Sunday we have Mass here. And the crowds that come are just phenomenal. And you can see it in their faces. The times you just come, and you'll always see a family too, stopping just to look, place a flower, put a card or something on their loved one's picture. You know, the great thing about here is Coney Island is a place where you have fun. Okay, the monument that's going to be built down at Ground Zero is going to speak of death. This speaks of life, just because of where it's at. So we want people coming to Coney Island, look at their loved on the walls, and remember the good times. Remember the fun they had together, and to keep that going.
Let's dedicate ourselves to remembering them and never forget them. And let's always remember this wall, so whenever you want to think of them and think of their families, thank God that they have a place to come here in their honor.
Saul showed me the wall, and he told me that he was trying to get it finished. I haven't forgotten September 11th, and I don't want anybody else to either. And I sure feel for everybody that lost somebody that day. And when I went out to the wall and I saw those faces on the wall, and some were missing, I thought, you know, I could really play a part in trying to help Saul and the guys get this wall completed. And I think with this concert and the fundraising efforts that have taken place since we went out there, I think we got it done. I think the wall's going to be.
I'm not here to make fun of people. I'm here only to congratulate people like you and all the others who have done so much and given so much to make this wall possible.
They call it the Wall of Remembrance, and it's a tribute in Coney Island to first responders killed on 9/11. The wall originally listed the names of fallen heroes who worked in Brooklyn, but today it was officially expanded. Allison Hans was at Keyspan Park, where the emotional ceremony took place.
Through music, prayer, and a special blessing, the Brooklyn Wall of Remembrance and Tribute Walk was rededicated to include all of the New York City first responders who lost their lives on 9/11. Through the pounding rain, family and friends remembered the lives that were lost.
We have all cried. We have all felt despair. We have all suffered. But today we can smile. And we can remember not the sadness that brought us here, but the wonderful memories of those brave souls who have left us.
John Vigiano, a retired fire captain, lost his 2 sons that day, John Jr., a firefighter, and Joe, a detective. Today, he praised the efforts of those who created the Brooklyn Tribute, which features a statue modeled after one of his sons. The expanded wall now includes not just the names of hero first responders from Brooklyn, but the names and portraits of first responders who died from Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, and Staten Island.
I think all of you recognize that the word wall has all in it. And Saul Moglen wouldn't rest until all the names, that all was in the wall.
Many fought back tears, including celebrities like actors Gary Sinise and Jon Voight, who've been passionately behind the project. Voight movingly spoke of the men and women who perished that day and the strength of those left behind.
I believe that I am standing in front of many heroes.
Heroes who are not only etched in the hearts and minds of family and friends, but now on this Brooklyn wall for the rest of eternity.
Together, we have built a place where the holy and the human are one. May be blessed. Amen.
In Brooklyn, I'm Allison Hans for the CW11 News at 10.
That the spades are the swords of a soldier. I know that the clubs are weapons of war. I know that diamonds mean money for this art, but that's not the shape of my heart.